Hey, good to see you today. My name is Michael Lamar, and this is the Prescott Today show. And today I'm lucky enough to be out and about exploring our recreational pursuits here in Prescott. And I'm also lucky to have Chris Hoskins, our trails director or coordinator, here to discuss our trail system and things you want to take advantage of if you live or work in this area. Chris, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I'm glad to be here. This is Watson Lake, for any of you who don't know where we are. There's birds. I'm a little scared they might attack us, but I don't think so far so good. Chris, maybe we'll open up a little bit about talking about this facility specifically, and then we can talk a little bit about the trails in general.
Sure.
Watson Lake, an attractive place for people to come?
Yeah, there's lots of things to do here. We've got hiking, biking, trail running. We've also got other things like disc golf, bocce ball courts. We have canoe and kayak rentals on the weekends. Mm-hmm. I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's Prescott Outdoors that provides that. It's a vendor that we have here. So there's a lot of things to do here at Watson Lake. Climbing.
I noticed the terrain's pretty unique with the bells in the background.
Yeah, and we also have, we worked hard on trying to get a loop all the way around Watson Lake. So it's about a 5-mile loop, and it's not an easy loop.
It's a little rigorous. I did it the other day with my daughter and wife, and the Peavine's back here too. The Peavine Trail is
yeah. So if you want something easy, you can take off from the south boat ramp and go do the Discovery Trail onto the Peavine, and then come back. And people who want to do a little bit more adventurous stuff can start here at the north boat ramp and go down to the dam and below the dam there, and then climb up the over the hill trail, and then back to the Lakeshore Trail. And it's strenuous. It can be.
It is.
And we ask that people, check the weather and also take some water with them, and sunscreen and some food and a cell phone, and read the signs and make sure you know where you're going.
Well, what's a nice thing that you don't see in most places is the little white dots that your Over the Hill gang puts on.
Yeah, we put the white dots up, and that helps people stay on track.
Sometimes it's hard to figure it out with the rocks all looking the same. So.
Yeah, and we have, it's always a challenge trying to keep those fresh, but we try and get out there as much as we can. But, if people have a map, that really helps. We have maps all the way around.
They're most of the trailheads, if not all of them, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's a little box usually.
We have a box, and then we also have a really cool thing. It's an app that you can get on your phone, which is the Trails map, and now your smartphone becomes a GPS.
Oh, fantastic! I got to download that.
Yeah, it's great. And if you just go to PrescottTrails.com, there's a QR code there. You can download the app and get that. It's about, I think it's $8, and then once you have it, you always have it, and you can download the new ones.
And it's updated as we get new trails in the system?
Every year we download or we do another map.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we sort of segued nicely into trails like we knew what we were doing. Let's talk a little bit about trails and miles and visitors.
Sure. Well, currently we have about 86 miles of trail in the city of Prescott. Then there's about 450 miles, in the Prescott area in general. And, we built, probably 50 miles of trail in the city. And we're continuing to build, more and more trails. So we've got about 100 between the Forest Service and the city that is planned. The trails are busy. They're getting busier every year. We're getting about 800,000 visits on our city trails per year.
It's tremendous. It's really amazing. And people coming from all over the country and the world, really.
Yeah. We have trail registration boxes, and I'm always pleasantly surprised to see people from all over the country and the world that come here. So depending on the weather and what's going on that weekend, this weekend coming up is going to be the start of the rentals. So that'll increase the amount of kayak and canoes that are going to be on the lake.
And we hear the ducks, or swans, and it is your job to protect your boss if they attack. So if they come after us, it's your job to get rid of them for me.
Sure, they're afraid of me.
They are scared of you? Well, that's good to know. Are these Canadian geese? Is that?
Yeah, we got some visitors from up north. They're usually down here for the winter, and then they take off, so they're still here.
So you were alluding to trail usage being up. What does it look like if you looked at it longitudinally over the past 5 years?
Well, it's generally going up about 9 to 11% per year.
That's significant.
Yeah. So, our flagship trails like the Peavine, when I got here in 2006, there was about 28,000 visits a year on that. Now it's up to 66,000
That's
visits.
crazy.
Yeah. So even though we built 50 miles of trail, we're still seeing our very busy trails still going up. So Constellation Trails by the Fipper Museum, that's up to, I think, 48,000 visits a year. That's a relatively new trail. We built it in 2012. About 12. We finished that one. So, we're getting more and more usage. A lot of people are getting into the outdoors and getting on bikes and hiking. The Prescott Circle Trail is really, something that's is capturing people's imagination. To try and do a 54-mile loop around the city, it's a
significant workout to do, or 1 and 2
yeah, I've done it. I've hiked it in 4 days, and I've biked it in 1 day, and none of it is easy.
Lots of changes in elevation.
Yeah, but we do have a guide that you can get at the local stores that will really break it down into manageable segments, so you can do 5 miles a day, and you can make it a goal to do the Circle Trail, in a year. So we're doing improvements on that all the time. Some parts of the Circle Trail are a little bit more difficult than others, but overall it's a pretty intermediate trail.
Do you have a favorite trail experience when you're out? Favorite place to go?
I just like going out and seeing what we've built, and just revisiting it, because you get so much tunnel vision on when you're building it, and then going back and seeing people on it, and asking them how they liked it, and just I don't know. It's just I just like seeing people on the trails that we built.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what else would you like to share with us about the trail system and parts of your job?
Well, we've recently been working at Pioneer Park and building very easy trails, very easy walking trails, very easy mountain bike trails. And that's really for the beginners. We didn't really have any really beginner type single track, little narrow trails that people want. So Pioneer, with that terrain, really lends itself to that kind of thing. But it's also, we can now have events there. We just had a mountain bike race this weekend with MBAA, Mountain Bikes of Arizona Association, and we had 500 people out there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And we got the Whiskey Off-Road in a couple weeks.
We got the Whiskey Off-Road coming up, and then we have the NICA, the National Intercollegiate Cycling Association, the high school and middle school races. There's about 800 people probably going to show up for that in September. So that's going to be at Pioneer Park.
Something that you and Joe Baines, the rec director, always talk about too is the importance of trail connectivity and linking up to larger systems.
Yes.
We have a pretty good partnership with National Forestry and
absolutely, it's a great partnership. The Circle Trail is like the epitome of that, because half of that 54 miles is pretty much on city managed trails, and half of it's on forest managed trails. We're also seeing a lot of developers talking to us about trails as amenities in their developments. So a lot of new developments coming in, but public trails being part of that. And they see the value. It's a very inexpensive amenity to put in, and people are moving here and staying here because of trails. They're visiting here too.
So why is the linkage and connectivity important? It just gives people a different experience. They don't circle over the same area again.
Yeah, people absolutely want to have a loop trail. They don't want to do an out and back. They want to have the experience of doing a loop, one way one day, going around one way with one day, and the other way the other day.
Right.
Maybe doing various lengths of loops, so when you have a variety, when you have choices, that's what people want. They don't want to be saying, okay, this is your trail, and you go this way, and then you come back the same way. So, a connectivity between developments is huge, because now a kid can ride from one development to the other on his bicycle to go see his buddy, or people can go to the store. They don't always have to be in a car. They can ride their bikes to wherever. So, I think that's important for people.
And really, depending on where you live in Prescott, the distance from where you live or work to a trail is like throwing a rock.
Exactly. Yeah, you're 15 minutes from a trail.
That's nice.
Yeah, at the most. Most of it is 5-10 minutes from a trail anywhere in Prescott. We've got trails all over. We have a trails map that we produce, and those are available at any of the outdoor stores. We have them at City Hall for free. We have them at trailheads for free. We have them at the Parks and Rec office for free. So we go through about 45,000 of those maps a year, and it's in the top 2 things requested at the Chamber of Commerce. So it's only $1, and you get that map. It's a great way to understand town and all the roads as well.
It's actually helped me figure out my way around town.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And because people start talking about the natural landmarks, whether it's Thumb Butte or Granite Mountain, and obviously in any of those locations there's a trail.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And that's really, the Circle Trail is what links all those trail systems together. And the Circle Trail is really the backbone that links Granite Mountain to Thumb Butte, to Goldwater, to Watson Lake, to Willow Lake, to Pioneer Park. Yeah, so the Circle Trail is the link between all those systems.
and Chris, just a couple more things. So, types of users, you got walkers and runners and hikers. You got bikers.
Yeah, mountain bikers. Yep. Yeah. So.
Do we have some horse trails too?
Yep. People are. There's a lot of horse usage on city trails. Depending on the time of year, but most of the horse riders go into the national forest when the weather gets better. But we have the Peavine is something that the horse users use, but the Dells trails is not something I recommend on a horse. It's bad enough to walk through. But I would, not saying you can't do it. I just recommend that you don't do it.
It's a funny anecdote about me. It was second or third weekend. I did the Flume Trail, which hooks up at the bottom of the dam. And somehow I decided that I was going to get off the beaten path, and then I wondered if I was going to be rescued, which I thought was probably not a good introduction to the city. So I crawled my way out. I was proud of myself about that.
Yeah. It's important on those Dells trails to keep
an
eye on
to where you're going.
Pay attention to those white dots.
Pay attention to the dots.
Yeah, if you get off those dots, try and find them again real quick.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, I appreciate your time.
Thank
Is there
you.
anything else you want to talk about, or?
No, I think Prescott is really being recognized, regionally and nationally and even internationally as a trail destination for some people. People are coming for the whiskey from all over the world, the whiskey bike race. And I see it. I see it in all our trail registration boxes. We've got people from all over the world coming, people from all over the country. So, the Dells here is unique. So this is something that captures people's imagination. But we're becoming known.
It's almost otherworldly. I mean, it reminds me of something from Lost in Space or the Flintstones.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's really just a different environment than anything you see in a lot of places.
Yeah, and that's something that I get from a lot of people is, you get out 10 minutes away from town, you're out here, you can be down this trail, you won't hear any kind of noise, and you have this wilderness type experience in the middle of city of Prescott.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So we're very blessed to have such variety in terrain and vegetation in Prescott. And so whatever you choose, you can always find it. You can go down a creek down in the greenways downtown, and move around town on the greenways. Or you can come out here and walk around the lake, or you can go to Pioneer Park and ride your bike around. I mean, there's such a variety of different types of trails that we have.
Well, I enjoyed our time, and in my mind, this is when people talk about defining quality of life, this is really what I think of a quality of life, and I probably think you do too.
Yes, absolutely.
So, we're going to go from here to talk to Kelly Tolbert about some recreational programming, and we look forward to getting back with you.
My name is Harry Oberg. I'm the mayor of Prescott, and I have with me Jeff Andrews from the U.S. Forest Service. How are you, Jeff?
Good. How are you doing today,
Good.
Mayor?
I'd like to have Jeff just kind of do a quick intro on his operation down here at the airport. And as I said earlier, we'll be coming back in June to do a full segment with you down there and get a complete understanding of the operation, your control center, the fact that you are very into, being aware of the weather forecast, the weather systems moving through, that type of thing, and also the fact that you got aviation component there with the aircraft that will actually go out and drop slurry on fires if we have fires. And also you have a 20-person, I think, hotshot team.
True. So really what we got, and you can probably see this behind us a little bit, this is the Prescott Fire Center and the Henry Y.H. Kim Aviation Facility. And so what this is a Forest Service owned building that sits on City Prescott land. It's about 16 acres of leased land. And it's unique in the fact that we have a number of and a variety of resources there. So you mentioned the hotshot crew. We have the Prescott hotshot crew stationed out here. It's a 20-person crew, but we also have a number of other things. We have a large cache, which is kind of a warehouse or distribution center for supplies and equipment, and it's one of 2 caches here in the southwest area. So when we get wildfires, they'll send equipment and supplies out to the folks on the line out there. So
when you say southwest, you talking about just Arizona or?
Arizona, New Mexico, a little bit of Texas.
Okay.
And it's part of a national system, and there's 12 caches nationally. So we're one of 12, which is a great asset to have here in the Prescott area. So a couple of the other things we have out here is we have a helicopter program, Helitech program. So it's a Type 3 helicopter. It's an A-Star B3 helicopter. So it's a small helicopter with a crew of 8 people. And they provide initial attack services to the local forest and then to our partners in the area. So that's a unique feature as well. We also have the air tanker base, which gets quite a bit of coverage and use. And so that's a national asset, national resource. And what we do is we provide services and supply the air tanker program, air tanker system within the country. So nationally we have about 20 to 25 air tankers, and this serves as a base for them during May, June, July. So it's a really unique feature here.
Now you're here year-round, but you really ramp up during what period?
Correct. Yeah, we're here year-round. The forest itself, Prescott National Forest, has about 50 folks that work year-round in fire, fuels, aviation management, and then in the summer we get upwards of 100, 105, and then of course we have all of our neighbors and partners, whether it's Forest Service or interagency partners that help us as well.
Okay, and so you started ramping up about April to November?
Yeah, really April 1st is when we bring on a number of our temporary employees, so over the next couple weeks you'll start to see a handful of folks coming into the system, upwards of 30 to 50 folks, and so we're pretty busy. We do a lot of training in the first part of April, gearing up for the fire season, preparedness, readiness reviews, and then really from May, June, and July is when we have the bulk of the work in the Southwest here for our fire season. Obviously the monsoon comes in, hopefully early, sometime around July, middle of July. And then we start to support. Once the rains come in, fire danger is mitigated here somewhat in the local area, then we'll go support our partners up north. So it's really May, June, and July is when you see the bulk of the activity here.
And the aircraft come in as needed?
They come in as needed. So the air tankers specifically are managed on a national level out of a coordination center in Boise, which is funneled through another coordination center in Albuquerque. And so on any given day, we could move our aircraft around to where we need it the most.
Okay. So. Well, thanks for that intro, Jeff, and we'll be talking with you more in June.
All right. Sounds
good.
Thanks,
you.
Mayor.
Welcome back to Prescott Today. I'm Michael Lamar, as I shared with you earlier, and I'm here with Kelly Tolbert. Kelly is a recreation coordinator, and one of her primary responsibilities is special events. And we've sort of moved venues. We're over here at Mile High Middle, and we're on the southwest corner of the square to give people some idea of where this is located. And Kelly, this is the season, I guess. The weather's good and people start getting outside. And
you're exactly right. We kick off our season in April now, and it's really a big focus on the shoulder seasons, incorporating that not only into the main events that usually take place on the town square or the city square, but also offering things for families to come up from Phoenix on the weekends in October, get their pumpkin, go out to eat, spend a little time in our lovely city.
Oh, that's great. Drop a little money and
hopefully spend a little money,
cash.
a couple of nights in a hotel, help out the restaurateurs, the local shops. And we feel fortunate to be able to work with places like Mile High Middle School as a venue for these special events that we're able to help host.
One of the things that's been really impressive to me is how many partners we have in the downtown community to put on special events. And
You know, we couldn't do it without them.
no, they're between their venues and their volunteer time. And
Absolutely.
some of those folks, I guess, are the Downtown Partnership, obviously the school system.
We also partner with the county, Yavapai County, for the town square events. Events are kind of graded when they're in the planning process, so they go in front of a committee to be voted on and to help that planning process. But part of that is, is there street closures? Are you going to have alcohol at your event? So all of that comes into play when we're in the planning
How
process.
much impact is going to have on the community.
Absolutely.
And you try to give the downtown merchants some idea of how much inconvenience they're going to have to deal with and those types of
And
things.
traffic congestion,
Right.
that's important to the traffic engineers and to our visitors and residents.
I was just telling you before we started that just Sunday I was on the same field. My daughter had an Easter egg hunt. And I guess that's
yeah.
one of the special events for the season.
Exactly, and that used to be on the town square, but we're trying to, as a committee and as a group, working with the local businesses and other invested user groups to kind of break that up. So Watson Lake, we have the Highland Games coming up, so you'll see that there, as well as that same weekend is the Mountain Artists Guild Fine Art and Wine Festival,
Okay.
and that's on Cortez. So that's another annual event. So just trying to break that up logistically speaking so that you don't get those heavy congested areas.
Okay. You've alluded to a couple things coming up. What else is on the horizon in terms of special events that people can look forward to?
Well, we do have a listing on our tourism website, which is visit-prescott.com.
Okay.
So you can find a full listing of our events and the details on the website. But we also have the Party in the Pines coming up, and that is actually located at this venue. That's the Prescott Area Young Professionals group that hosts
Okay.
that event, and so it's a fundraiser for their group, which they're affiliated with the Chamber, who's another partner of ours that we work closely with. So everything in Prescott's kind of intertwined, and so we
That's
try
good,
to find
though.
a good way to work together.
When people get too territorial, you don't take advantage of some of the things that we can borrow from one another.
Absolutely,
like
do it
school
better.
system allowing us to use this field. We don't have another resource like this downtown, so it's just kind of a natural location to have events like you're referring to.
And I think with the school district, it's and a way for them to offset some of their financial issues as well. So it's mutually beneficial, which we always like to see.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what event do you like?
My favorite event, if it were arts and crafts based, I think the Phippen Art Museum show on Memorial Day weekend is a great event. It's a juried show, but they're here on the square for 3 days. And so it's just Memorial Day weekend's a good time to get out with your visitors or family and kind of just check out what's going on in the art community. There's a couple of events such as Territorial Days that have been around for years, and that is going to be on June 11th this year. And so I always look forward to those.
Is that a historical heritage type event, or what is that?
Kind of another art show that is put on by the PDP. They
Okay.
work with the county on that event.
And that's the Prescott Downtown Partnership?
That is the Prescott Downtown Partnership. And they host all of the events that are located on the square.
See, my family moved out in October, so we missed the summer season of this. So,
So this will be your
everybody's told
first
me
year.
it's an eye-opening experience to see how much is going on downtown pretty much every week or weekend.
Absolutely, and I think that's part of the uniqueness of Prescott and a lot of what draws people here to visit and to live.
That
So
makes
I
a lot
hope
of sense.
your family will
We were going
enjoy
to take
some of
advantage of a
it.
lot of them. A lot of them sound very interesting. I guess the Highland Games is a Scottish type
Yeah,
event.
that's another unique event, and it's May 13th and 14th out at Watson Lake. The local Celtic Society puts that event on, and they have all kinds of Scottish games and foods, and it's, I think, a total immersion experience out there. So
Sounds fun, though.
Yeah,
Sounds like a good
very
time.
unique.
So what else would you like to mention about what you do? How about this? Let's say I was interested in having a special event, and how would I go about starting that or talking to the people involved to see if that
So
would
a
be
good
viable?
place to start is to pick your date And then there's a process that you would follow, starting with contacting the Recreation Services Department, and that's the local Armory office. So 824 East Gurley and 777-1122 can get you there. There's a 16-page application process, and so that kind of delineates what kind of event that you're going to have with, like I said before, road closures. Are you going to have alcohol? Some of that's a timing factor with the state liquor licensing, and so those things are explained to you as you go through this process. And Michelle Stacy Schroeder with our department is very thorough in giving all those details. So as an event planner, you would work really closely with her on that. And so she'll help you file your paperwork on time, and also to introduce any kind of resources that are available, such as bed tax and things that the city uses to offset city services for these events. And so, that's all needs to be taken into.
Sure. Well, and the nice thing too is the community's done it for so long. Some of the logistics have kind of been worked out. So.
Yeah, I think we're pretty skilled at it as it is,
I mean,
thankfully.
if you decided to do something like this now, at least you're taking advantage of things that have come before you to sort of
Absolutely.
bang out the kinks a little bit.
Yeah, we have a lot of our events are annual events. So, we'll have Dogtoberfest again is a big one. We're a
Dogtoberfest.
Dogtoberfest.
Wow.
So that's like everything dog related.
Do the dogs get loaded on beer? How does that work?
I don't think I know they have water for the
Okay, I just
dogs,
wanted
but
to make
I
sure
think
wasn't
that might be a conflict of interest or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a good event for my dog.
But yeah, you could see every kind of dog you could ever imagine at that event, and they may have on tutus and
Cool,
like
though.
rhinestone collars and things like that. It's a big deal in the dog community, so that's something you should maybe check out
I'm
as
going
well.
to check that out.
Yeah.
I have an English Bulldog, and as long as it's not like over 80, she's good for about 11 minutes. And then we need to go home. Yeah, it's not.
So October is
It's a
that
good
event.
time of
Yeah.
the year for her to be here.
And she'll get plenty of treats and samples and things like that.
So we've talked a lot about special events. What about sporting events?
Sporting events, Prescott is known for softball community, and a lot of that history Joe will talk about in the next segment with Kinley Field. But our original Parks and Recreation director for the city was, he saw the importance of softball and men's softball, and his name was A.C. Williams. So a lot of our history is just based on tradition and from him being our original Parks and Rec director. And so we have the Softball Hall of Fame at the Armory that people can come in and see when we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. But a lot of these busy weekends during special event season, we're also overlapping with youth tournaments at Pioneer Park and Heritage Park. We use a lot for, we have 50 to 60 girls softball teams in town sometimes.
Wow.
And we're also overlapping with the Party in the Pines. So if your family's going to come and visit, you might want to think ahead to get a hotel.
Yeah, but how nice for a family coming from out of town that if your kids are in a softball tournament during the day, that maybe there's
So
something
much.
going on in the square at night, and
Exactly.
kind of balances the kids' needs and the parents' needs.
Absolutely, and they bring their grandma, and so they're able to, go out for a nice dinner at night and get a good night's sleep, and then head back out to the field early in the morning.
Yeah.
And then we also have some men's tournaments too. Men's isn't as busy as youth softball, but we still try to host those as part of that tradition.
I would think too, over the summer when the valley's so hot, that a lot of folks are attracted to coming up here and spending the weekend.
The parents and the girls just love it, so it is very attractive to those teams. And this year we're hosting a national tournament, so we'll have teams from, Southern California, Washington, this western region, and so that also helps with the economic impact.
Oh yeah,
for
it's nights in beds,
Yep.
meals at restaurants,
Absolutely.
gas at the convenience store.
And we try to work with the businesses to say, hey, this is what else you can do while you're here. So we try to get the word out to those teams,
It's great.
what else is, available to them.
Well, Kelly, do you have anything else you'd like to share?
I don't think so, Michael. We're looking forward to a great special event season, and it's seamless, and we're just happy to be here.
Well, thank you very much. We'll be right back with Joe Baines, and we'll talk a little bit more about rec. Welcome back to Prescott Today. We're here with Joe Baines at Ken Lindley Field in stadium, I guess. Is that the appropriate
We're in
title?
the stadium at Ken Lindley Field.
And the real stars are behind us. It's the Yavapai College men's soccer team. 7-time national champs is what we just found out.
7-time national champs, yep.
Joe is the Parks and Rec director, and we're going to talk a little bit about Ken Lindley and then maybe more generally about recreation.
Sure.
So tell me
yeah.
about the history of this facility.
Yeah, really interesting history. The property, it's been known as the city park since 1908. The property was actually deeded to the city of Prescott in 1922. This stadium was built in 1931 as a City of Prescott Public Works project. Subsequently then, the WPA came in through that national program and did a lot of the other work that you see around here, the rock
Stone
walls,
walls
and the armory was constructed around the same time with WPA forces. So a lot of history here in Ken Lindley. 1971, the field was renamed for Ken Lindley, who was police chief, City of Prescott police chief, but very involved in sports and youth sports, and lost his life in a car accident 1971, so it was renamed Ken Lindley Field at that point. But it's hosted a lot of national championship softball games. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Yavapai College being here, but in addition to their 7 national championships, they've won 20-some conference championships. So a very successful program and great addition to the field. As you know, with all of our fields, which we have 12 of them, by the way, they're all multi-purpose. Mm-hmm. So we play soccer on them, we play football on them. Whatever we can fit on them, we fit on them, just in order to get the most usage out of the complexes. And Ken Lindley's no exception.
Joe, you briefly alluded to softball. Softball's a big deal here, isn't it?
Softball's a really big deal. In 1957, the Parks and Recreation Department was formed in the city of Prescott. Its first director was A.C. Williams. AC kind of became known as the softball guru of the state of Arizona. Very active in promoting both slow pitch and fast pitch softball. In the 1970s, fast pitch was really popular here. Part of the theory, we would have 1,500, 2,000 people for a Tuesday night fast pitch softball game.
That's crazy, yeah.
The quality of the play was really good, but I'm convinced a big part of that too was air conditioning wasn't in every home then. So really to get out to the park and get out in the open air and converse with your neighbors was a little more a way of the times, so I think that was it. But we've hosted the 2008 women's fast pitch team with Jenny Finch on it. They played an exhibition game here in 2008.
You had a big turnout, I bet.
We had about 5,000 people for that.
Wow.
As well as many other, you name it, 16-inch slow pitch softball, which is a lot of times played without gloves, but those are big boys that hit the ball hard. 1978, we hosted that for the first time. I believe altogether we've hosted over 20-some national championships, and proud to say that we've won the James Farrell Award, which is awarded to the host communities, rated on things like concessions and field conditions and umpiring and all of that criteria. In order to win the James Farrell Award, you have to score in the upper 90%, and we've won 20-some consecutive ones. So we take a lot of pride in it. So
you should.
That's why the question's appropriate about the history and the culture of softball is really important.
What other sports do you, obviously soccer's a big deal in this community. In terms of team athletics, do you see a growth in that area, or? We do. We do some indoor sports too. We do indoor volleyball. We have 2 basketball seasons. And this is youth and adults?
This is adults. The youth sports we mainly leave up to the youth sports organizations. We support them by providing fields and gymnasiums and things, but they run their own
But they
leagues.
use our facilities.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we do the adult sports. So we have 2 basketball leagues, a summer and a winter. Same thing with volleyball. And then of course we have 140 teams that participate in adult softball, from women's to co-eds to men's. Which, by the way, is more teams than the city of Tucson has, and we have 40,000 people, and they have about 500,000.
Yeah, plus they got a lot of college-age kids that
Yeah.
obviously aren't as active as ours. So.
Right, so that really shows you that, we have a lot of active retirees. Our senior softball program here, they're going 3 days a week, and they go almost year-round. So we just the new retirees, an active retiree, and that's why I think Prescott appeals to them.
Speaking of active retirees, the subject we can never get away from, I think, that we're excited about is pickleball.
Pickleball, yeah, we're just in the process. Pickleball is an emerging sport, one of the fastest growing sports in the United States, and we've had it for a few years at our Senior Olympic Games and noticed that it sold out pretty quickly. A group of interested pickleball people, or pickle people as they like to be called, approached the city about, hey, if we raise some money, would you guys have a place that we could put some facilities in? So I'm proud to say we've got 8 pickleball courts out of Pioneer Park that'll be opening in early June, and getting a lot of excitement about that. It's going to bring some tournament play in, and another thing that we can offer our residents, and another thing that I think helps our quality of life and makes us appealing as a place to retire.
Well, we got to acknowledge our demographic is active adults that have retired and have some free time, and they're just such a great resource for this community. I was talking earlier to Chris about the Over the Hill gang and how much work they do on the park trail system and how much they enjoy the trail system, and pickleball is just one more thing for them to do in our community.
Right, and we've had great luck with the dog park that was built in 2014. There's a great volunteer group that helps us out there on a regular basis. We have our park rangers, which are just invaluable. I mean, they're out on the trails every day.
What's that program about, Joe? Tell people about that in case they're interested.
The volunteer park ranger program is you've got to volunteer for at least one shift a week. And they're staged here out of the Armory. We get them the proper training that they need, and they can kind of pick their routes. Some people, we have one of our rangers that just loves the Peavine Trail, so he's out there on his bike. But really, we like to call them the eyes and ears of the department and the eyes and ears of the city. So if somebody wants to know what kind of fish are biting and what are they biting on, they can give them a little information, what's a nice trail to get on, as well as reporting graffiti incidents or any other things that they come across. So they're wonderful, they're dedicated. We're so blessed to live in a community of great volunteers.
I said that a little earlier, we have so many people that are civically minded and interested in spending time building their community and making it better. It's really an anomaly. You don't see that everywhere.
Right, I'm convinced that kind of pride carries through into your facilities. People care about your facilities because there's a sense of ownership in that. And I think that's what a park system should be about.
So if people are interested in the Park Ranger program or more broadly stuff going on in the Recreation Department, how would they get additional information?
Go to the City of Prescott's website and go to Recreation Services, so cityofprescott.net, and you can find information about how to join the Over the Hill gang, volunteer Park Ranger program, which, by the way, is to capacity. We can only facilitate so many people, so I actually think we might have a little waiting list on that. But there's plenty of volunteer opportunities.
You can get involved in a lot of other things.
Absolutely. If your thing is the dog park and you're down there quite a bit, we can get you the information to help out with that group, which cleans on Mondays. Pickleball, I'm assuming, and I know from speaking with those folks, we'll get that program put together pretty soon. But come visit our website, it's full of information.
Sounds fantastic. Do you have anything else you want to share about the rec department?
No, just that we're blessed to live in the community we live in, and we're blessed to have people who love to use the park system, and it's a great place to be.
That kind of gives you a general overview of our recreation department and some of the wonderful amenities we have here in this community, and it's such a beautiful place to get outside, spend some time with your family or your friends. We're just really lucky to be here. So I guess with that, I say thanks a lot and enjoy spring.